am, and I'm super excited to invite Jim to the live. So before I invite him to the live, I would love to share a few facts about Congo. Because Congo is actually one of the largest French-speaking country in Africa. And as I like to say, there's 320 million French speakers in the world. 50% of the French speaker in the world live within the African continent. And DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, tops the list with more than 77 million French speakers. So Congo is a big country. Congo is known because of Patrice Lumumba. I can't start this live without mentioning him. He's a Pan-Africanist figure. He was assassinated. He's the first prime minister of Congo, and he was assassinated in 1960. Congo is also known by Hollywood by the different films. One of the blockbuster film that was produced back in 1995 was Congo, Killing Gorillas. It was actually a blockbuster. I also know that it's public. Ben Affleck is actually developing a feature film called King Leopold Ghost. It's about King Leopold because Congo was under Belgium. And before I have Jim join the live, Mighty Peace Coffee, as a chairman, J.D. Steer, produced a beautiful documentary titled When Elephants Fight, which was narrated by Robin Wright. And it's an award-winning documentary, and it's really about the roles of companies and how they can become more transparent about the tech companies on supply chain transparency in the mining sector. More than 6 million Congolese have died this past 15 years. So Congo is known for its rubber, for its diamond, for its cobalt. But Congo has coffee. And this is what we're going to discuss today. 70%, I believe, and Jim, you're going to tell me, of coffee is produced in Congo is being smuggled in neighboring countries. So the goal of this live is to understand how the coffee industry works, how we can support local farmers in Congo, and how and why Jim is making a difference. So Jim, I'm going to invite you. Oops. I don't know if you're here. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey,
Hello.
hey, Yasmina, can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can I can I can hear you, but I cannot see you.
Give me
So
1 second.
sure. While you're doing that, just want to remind people, and actually I realized that I didn't put the title of the topic of today, which is from Congo to Wisconsin. an immigrant success in the coffee business. Let me invite Jim. So this is always the technical issue. When you go live, sometimes everything is not perfect. But he's in New York, so I'm fairly confident that the problem is going to be fixed. Again, my name is Yasmina Edwards. Welcome. For those who don't know my show, Breaking New Ground, welcome. I'm super excited to have you. I'm having this great guest, Jim Ngokwey, one of the co-founder of Mighty Peace Coffee. Let me go live. Let me see if it's joining. Just a moment. There we are.
Hey, minor tech difficulties. Thanks for your patience.
It's okay. That's what it is when you're on a live show. Things
Yeah.
do not go perfectly. But you know, I'm happy to see everyone here. Hello, 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 everyone. So, Jim, I kind of gave a brief intro about Congo, the DRC. I don't think that DRC is getting a lot of media coverage. And when Congo does, it's usually not in a great light. So, and I don't want to talk about that today. I want us to be super practical. I want us to, especially you, to share your journey first. You know, where were you born? What brought you to America? And then we're going to talk about Mighty Peace Coffee. So where were you born, Jim?
I was born in Dakar, Senegal. Yeah, I was born in Dakar, Senegal. But I'm from Congo. I'm from DR Congo, but I was born in Dakar, Senegal, which is where my parents were living at the time. And I grew up mostly in West Africa, Senegal, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana. And I came to New York when I was 17. I finished high school here. And I went to college in Philadelphia and moved back to New York 6 years ago with my wife. So yeah, I've been traveling a little bit since I was born. But yeah, I was born in Senegal, but from Congo.
So, you know, Breaking New Ground is about the immigrant journey of entrepreneurs. And I always like to highlight the nuances in culture. So you grew up in Senegal, West Africa, and then in your teenage years, you moved to New York or you moved to the US. Tell me, how was the experience?
The experience was positive, honestly. You know, part of the reason why I was traveling is because my family at the time was working for UNICEF. So every few years is basically a new country. You know, for UNICEF, you know, working on initiatives to support, you know, children in developing countries. So I grew up basically surrounded by people that were trying to do good in the world and traveling across West Africa at that time. So I really enjoyed traveling. Every few years I got to live in a new place, make new friends, and also have friends in different places in the world. So I really enjoyed it. And yeah, so I think it probably made it easy for me to assimilate to different cultures because I was always meeting new people and being in new places and having to assimilate and make new friends. So I think that kind of helped me growing up.
Well, the question is, I guess it's easier to move from Africa to New York City than moving from Africa to Alabama. Would you agree?
I've never been to Alabama, but from what I know, I would guess New York City is probably, you know, an easier, you know, transition from, you know, let's say Ghana to New York City than maybe somewhere else. And, you know, New York City is a great city. I love the energy and this, you know, pretty diverse. There's people from all over, you know, in the city. So I'd say the transition was pretty smooth for me. Yeah.
So you move to New York, you go to college. Is Africa, is the continent is still always in the back of your mind? What was your connection with the continent besides your parents and your family, of course?
It's where I'm from, and really, I think the environment I grew up in, with again with my parents, working for whether it was UNICEF or Amnesty International, or people that were literally committing their lives to making the world a better place for the current and future generations. And I know there was a lot of work to do in Africa, so there's always been that connection, the desire to want to do something bigger than just for myself, right? So Africa, is where I'm from. It's in me. And everything I do, I think about, is the continent, is Congo going to be better because I was here? I think there's a lot of the continents in our respective countries aren't in the best positions right now, and I think as an adult now, I can't look to adults to fix it. I have to be part of the solution myself. Just always been something I've asked of myself since I was a teenager. What can I do when I'm a grown up to make things better? So yeah, so Africa is always something it's driven me.
So let's talk about Congo. Congo
Yeah.
is one of the richest, richest country in the world, for sure, in Africa, because of the natural resources. It started with rubber, diamonds, cobalt. There's so many resources, but it's still a very poor country. I didn't know much about coffee until really we met. So I would like you to start from the beginning. How long Congo? Let's talk about the industry of coffee.
Okay.
Because when I'm thinking coffee, I'm thinking Latin America. I'm thinking possibly, I think Côte d'Ivoire, or maybe I'm wrong. But definitely, I'm not thinking about Congo. Can you please, for the people who are listening, for the people who will be listening in a replay, share a bit what is the industry coffee looks like and how Congo fits into that industry?
Absolutely. I think it's interesting that you mentioned when you think of coffee, you think of Latin America. I think, Brazil and Colombia are probably some of the two best known coffee producing countries today. But coffee itself, the coffee most people drink day in and day out is actually from Africa, native to Africa, both the Arabica plant and the Robusta plant. So the Arabica plant is probably the one, most people drink, day in and day out. It actually comes from Ethiopia, was first cultivated in Yemen, and then whether it was through Dutch colonization, it was sent to Asia and then Latin America. But basically, every coffee tree in Brazil and Colombia can probably trace its roots back to Ethiopia. So that's, the Arabica coffee. But Robusta coffee, and Arabica came to Congo through colonization in the 1800s. So there's, again, two main varieties, Arabica and Robusta. And Robusta is actually a native to Congo. So, I read recently that Robusta actually used to be called Congo coffee. So Robusta is native to Africa, so it's native to Congo. You find it in Cameroon, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana as well, and across the continent. Though that plant was there and it was native to the continent before colonization, but Arabica came throughout the continent after colonization, after they found it in Ethiopia and then spread it around throughout colonization and the Dutch East Indies companies and things of that sort. So coffee has always been in Congo. Most of the coffee Mighty Peace coffee imports today, though, is Arabica, because that's what's considered specialty coffee at scale, and it's the coffee that most people drink in and day out. And okay. Arabica came through Congo through colonization. As you know, Congo was a Belgian colony, and that's how Arabica came through Congo. And the reason why we have both in Congo and both can grow is because Congo is a very diverse landscape. Like in North, South Kivu, as well as in Ituri, we have high enough elevation that we can grow the Arabica plant. So just to give you a little history background there, I don't know how interested you are in that, but just to give you some context as to how coffee got to Congo. Part of it is, natives always been there, and part of it is colonization. And the coffee Mighty Peace coffee brings to America is the Arabica coffee, and that's considered specialty, and that's what most of the people we work with, that's the kind of coffee they prefer.
So what I'm trying to understand also, and I'm sure my audience will be curious to know, why Latin America, these places have been extremely efficient and successful at exporting coffee all over the world, and why not Congo? I'm sure you have an answer to that.
So it's a great question. It's a great question. And the coffee industry, if you're going to be very transparent, was really built on exploitation, whether it's colonization or slavery. So, Brazil has been the biggest producing country for some time. And before that is actually Haiti. So if you think about, how
Oh,
Haiti and Brazil were such big producers, it was because of enslaved Africans. So for a long time, Haiti, and then once the revolution happened, a lot of that, they were boycotted, and a lot of that production shifted to Brazil. But that's why Brazil historically has been, the biggest coffee producing country. And now clearly it's not through slavery, but because of investments they've made since then, they were able to mechanize it. So Brazil actually has the infrastructure to produce a lot of coffee, at scale. Whereas, for example, in Congo, a lot of it is not mechanized. It's literally people doing it by hand because of lack of infrastructure and things of that sort. Whereas Brazil is highly mechanized, they have more resources. As a result, they're able to produce it at scale for a cheaper price as well. So if you'll notice, a lot of times in coffee, they talk about price and making sure farmers are paid well. Countries like Brazil and now Vietnam, who are number 1 and 2 globally in terms of coffee production, part of it is because they're able to mechanize it, so they're able to produce a lot more at scale, and they're able to sell it for cheap. So on average, coffee from Congo is probably more expensive than coffee from Brazil because they have mechanization, whereas us, we have people working by hand. And if you have to pay more people because there's less technology, if you want to pay them fairly, the coffee will be a bit more expensive. So Brazil and Vietnam win because of mechanization, which allows them to sell the coffee really as at probably the cheapest coffee in the world if you want cheap coffee. From a price standpoint, Brazil and Vietnam, nobody can really compete with them at that scale.
and the cheap and in terms of quality, are they equally? Are they qualitative as well?
So they also they do have quality coffee. Brazil and Vietnam do have quality coffee as well. But in terms of the biggest volume they export, a lot of that is commercial grade coffee or lower scoring specialty coffee, which is why they're able to sell it at a price that most other countries can't meet. Yeah,
Okay.
they do have quality coffee though. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously before our live, I did like a few research, and my understanding of how this entire supply chain works is that there's the roasters, there is the importers, and there is the farmers. And I'm thinking that in this graphic, the roasters are the one who have the most power because they're the one, and the roasters interrupt me if I'm wrong, are the Starbucks of this world, the Joe Coffee of this world, those big coffee chains where we go and buy our coffee and in and out. And so my question is, in the world that we live now, especially us of African descent, where we need to be super intentional about how we spend our money. Are you guys, because you are an importer, Mighty Peace Coffee is an importer. So is now the conversation has shifted in terms of, you know what, people want to be intentional. My farmers are from Congo. They need to be supported. What are you willing to put on the table to support them?
Yeah.
Can you please explain if the dynamic has changed since you launched? Because we didn't even discuss that. When did Mighty Peace was launched? But I just wanted on this topic, if you can answer in a few words.
Absolutely. So Mighty Peace Coffee, just to kind of go back to your last question, we're founded in 2018. So we're basically a 4 years young company. So we are very new, and we do have major ambition though to be able to play a major part in bringing more equity and fair compensation to the coffee industry and focusing on Congo. That's what we specialize in. And I mentioned earlier, the industry was built on the backs of enslaved and colonized people. So the idea of paying farmers well and things of that sort, it's really an uphill battle. Because initially, the reason why how the industry was built was by basically not paying farmers. So when you have a company like us, where we built on our foundation is making sure farmers are treated well and they have equity and agency in how they sell and price their coffee, it's the opposite of really the industry's history. So it's definitely an uphill battle. There are other like-minded importers with the same values, but it's definitely a challenge because, again, the economics, like our roasters, who I believe are the most, influential folks in the industry, like, are they willing to pay more? And if they do pay more for coffee, will their customers buy the coffee, right? So it's always, I believe in equity and things like that, but I'm afraid that if my coffee is more expensive, then they'll just not come to my coffee shop, go next door and get a cheaper coffee. So it's definitely a very complex conversation, and everybody's aware that there's a lot of, there's a lot of challenges in terms of fairness and equity in the industry. We're all aware of that, and just kind of figure out how do we move forward to make sure that we can make that change while still running businesses. Because at the end of the day, we have to be profitable. Even if we're idealistic, I want to make sure farmers are paid well. For example, I can't sell that coffee then and I go bankrupt, then we're kind of back to square one, right? So it's around finding that balance and that middle ground whereby we can be ethical and make sure farmers get paid, have agency around what their coffee is priced, and also that roasters feel that they can sell the coffee they buy from you. So it's definitely it's really like a balance that we all have to find. Farmers, importers, and roasters, we have to find that balance so everybody can win. But historically, farmers have lost because they're the price takers and they're usually the poorest in the supply chain.
So what is the solution? We both live in America, and America is about, okay, there's a problem. What is the solution? So you've been in the trenches now for a few years. So have you seen any progress? And what kind of help do you need to reach your goal?
That's a great question, and again, it's a very complex challenge. I definitely don't want to pretend that I have the solution to what's been plaguing the industry for the past century. But I can say, what we can all do to make it better, and I think it starts with basically understanding the actors of the supply chain and making sure that we are sustainable. And sustainability for me, it goes beyond the environment, just making sure that we can all do the same thing next year. Like if I pay the farmer this much this year, is that enough for them to plant coffee again and grow it next year? Because if not, and they stop growing coffee, our industry will suffer, right? So it's really about finding the middle ground. And I think what needs to happen is basically we have to pay farmers more. That's the bottom line. I think we can try to find
what prevents us from paying farmers more?
Oh, we definitely pay farmers more than the average, but then the challenge becomes, when you bring that coffee to America, because you paid farmers more, the coffee is more expensive. So now the question is, can you find roasters that are willing to buy the coffee at that price? And so that's the key, right? So the key is basically communicating that value, adding the value that's tied to making sure farmers are compensated in a way that allows them to do this again next year. So the key is we have to pay farmers more. And
sorry. I navigate in different worlds, and one of the worlds that I navigate is a luxury world. Basically, you can go to a place and drink coffee. Well, now in New York City, the cheapest coffee is at $5-6. But you can certainly go to like a 5-star hotel and pay double for that, because they are very particular, the type of product that they bring. The reason why I'm just mentioning this during the live, not having a deep understanding of the industry, but the more is more money, but it's also more qualitative. Have you thought, or is there a way to then say, I cannot compete with Vietnam or Brazil because they've been basically they automated the system, and I can compete with their price, but I can go to a different sector and that is more high-end, and then looking for something that is different and tasteful, and at the same time, you are helping the community.
And that's exactly what we do. Mighty Peace Coffee, exactly what we do. We know we can't compete with Brazil and Vietnam. Like the people that buy from us, again, you mentioned Joy Coffee earlier. They buy from us. Like they don't buy from Mighty Peace Coffee because it's cheap. Because they know if they want cheap coffee, there are other options out there. So that's what we focus on. Focus on specialty coffee. People that work with us understand that it's not going to be the cheapest coffee. Probably won't be the most expensive, but it won't be the cheapest. And the reason why is because farmers are paid this much, the transportation costs are this much, and the margin Mighty Peace Coffee needs to not go bankrupt is this much. That's why your coffee costs this much. So the people that buy from us, they understand that they understand that. Now the key is to get more people to understand that. Yeah. So we understand it's going to take time. And when you asked that question earlier, what can we do? I was going to think of a complex solution, but it's really simple. We have to pay farmers more. But now the complicated part becomes, okay, when you pay them more, how many buyers can you find that will buy your coffee at a higher price? And in our case, we've been, growing slowly but surely. Again, whether it's the Joe Coffees, Say Coffees, in New York, for example, but the people that work with us, they care about equity, they care about impact. They want to make sure that their coffee chain, their coffee company, that they can be comfortable that, when somebody buys coffee from them, it's ethically sourced, there was no exploitation, and that there's transparency there.
Okay. So can you please Joe Coffee, who are doing that? Because it's also important for people to know. There's Joe Coffee. Who else?
There's a lot, Mighty Peace Coffee, for example, we were currently working with more than 200 different coffee companies in America. So I said Joe Coffee because you mentioned them because I'm in New York City right now. They were our first partner in the city. But there's Joe Coffee, New York City, Say Coffee, being getting a lot. And right now, actually, I just got a delivery from Swelter Coffee out in Berkeley, California, and that's actually they started producing and selling our coffee. This one is our women produced coffee. So again, this is an example of a company like their motto is coffee for women by women. So it's owned by a woman, and she basically supports women produced coffees. And so she bought a woman produced coffee from us. So there's a lot of companies out there that believe in that. A lot of them are smaller than the bigger chains, but we think we got to start somewhere. So there are coffee companies out there that care about that. That care about making sure that the coffee they buy is actually good for the people that produce that coffee.
So what is your goal with Mighty Peace Coffee? Obviously, it's to grow, but because you're searching a specialty niche, what is your goal? Are you trying to raise money so you can bring more infrastructure for the farmers who are in Congo? What is your goal?
I mean, it's definitely multi-pronged. As a Congolese immigrant, as you can see, I have my Congolese flag proudly on my jacket. To me, the first reason really for me this was important from a coffee standpoint is there's really an opportunity to create jobs in Congo. So the more we grow, the more we can impact more farmers and impact different communities. So definitely growth and build a sustainable business. So that's definitely, a step one. We're 4 years in. As you know, business is challenging, across the board, across industries. So the key is to definitely build a sustainable business and grow over time. And our growth will really mean, more income and more Congolese farmers actually being able to make a living through coffee. So that's, first step is actually let's build a sustainable business. So we're here 10 and 20 years from now. And by doing that, we're actually going to build a brand and reputation for Congolese coffee. Again, the idea is that, because right now most people either don't know that where Congo is or that Congo has coffee. And you mentioned yourself, you didn't know Congo had coffee, right? So the idea is, through the works of Mighty Peace Coffee and other stakeholders in Congo, that the coffee industry can know that Congo has great coffee. So as they're dealing with, a supply issues from other countries, maybe they'll consider Congo as an option. They'll know that Congo has great coffee. And as they plan for their year, where should I buy coffee for this year? That Congo can be an option. So the goal really is to sustainable business and build a Congolese coffee brand, and by succeeding in those first two, we'll have a major impact in Congo in terms of job creation, social impact, quality of life. We have projects beyond coffee, but really to improve the quality of life of farmers, such as one called the off-grid box. We're going to provide clean water and energy to farmers. I don't know how familiar you are with the rural areas in Congo,
no,
but
I don't. And I would like you to use this opportunity to share. That's where the conversation I wanted to share.
Exactly.
The conversation to actually the farmers right now, and because I know you have, I'm not sure what her title is, but you have an expert on the ground who work with them very closely. Can you share that a little bit with the audience?
Absolutely. And one thing I will say, just to kind of get back to the beginning about Mighty Peace Coffee, we're getting founded in 2018. So again, we're 4 years young, and the four initial founders were, JD and Eliza in Madison, Wisconsin. And, I'm based in New York. And we have Linda Mugaruka, who's also Congolese, who's based in Bukavu. So Linda is an agronomist. And, even before Mighty Peace Coffee, she was working in the coffee sector and really providing resources to coffee farmers. So when she became a partner, we really had somebody on the ground who knew coffee farmers, who knew coffee cooperatives. So every coffee bean we bring to Congo is because bring to America, is because Linda said, yes, I talked to the farmers, I tasted the coffee myself, and it's good. So Linda is really critical to Mighty Peace Coffee because every coffee bean we bring, absolutely, she said the quality matches her standards, and she has very high standards. She was actually, sidebar about Linda, she was recognized as a young leader of the year in 2018 by Time Magazine. She was featured in New York Times. So basically, Linda is she's a real deal when it comes to Congo and coffee. And there's a certificate in coffee called Q Grader. A comparison is sommelier for wine. And we have 2 in Congo and only 1 woman, and that woman is Linda. So when it comes to coffee expertise in Congo...
Can you repeat her name again?
Linda Mugaruka.
Linda Mugaruka.
Okay. Mugaruka, yeah. She's based in Bukavu.
This is someone who's critical to Mighty Peace Coffee because she's based in Congo. She works directly with the farmer and the community.
Correct. Correct. And she's one of the
Okay.
owners of Mighty Peace Coffee. So there are
And she,
four primary
okay.
owners. She's one of the owners, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, and how many farmers are you guys working with?
So about each container we bring in, it's about 300 different farmers that are involved in it. So, for example, last year this year we're closer to 10 containers. So 3,000 farmers directly impacted by our work. Yeah. So 300 farmers per container. So the more we're able to grow and find buyers for our coffee, the more farmers we're able to impact.
And do you have a number in terms of how many tons, I don't know if we're talking on tons, of coffee you have exported to the U.S. from Congo? Those far?
So each container is 19 metric tons, and since our beginning, since the beginning we've brought 20 containers. So 20 times 19, I can't do the math that quickly in my head, but that's the number of tons we've brought in since 2018. Yeah.
Okay, so that is a huge number. So one of the questions that I have, you are an entrepreneur based in New York, who's working with the African continent. This is also a conversation that I'm having in my life. But there's also the challenge of the fact that Congo is a French-speaking country. Congo is not an English-speaking country. So can you please share with the audience the challenges, if there is any? And because I'm a French speaking and I speak English, but I know that there's always nuances and cultural nuances. So I would love to hear your side of the story.
I think, in our case, we don't, as Mighty Peace Coffee, we don't really face that challenge because, I speak French and English, so I can speak with our team in Congo, and Linda, speaks French and English as well. So like the two French speakers in Mighty Peace Coffee also speak English. So as a company, it's not really a challenge for us, but I can see that for others, if another American or other American company wants to work in Congo, there could be an issue there in that sense. And I think big picture beyond coffee, I think part of the reason when French can be a challenge is because in the media, in the American or English-speaking media, there's less visibility of Congo because, most Congolese, write in French or, their TV appearances are in French channels. So there's probably less thought leadership from Congolese in English. And that's part of what, we try to do at Mighty Peace Coffee as well. So you also play a part in adding a new elements to the narrative. So that's why, whether it's myself, Linda, or other partners, are very proactive in terms of writing about Congo and coffee and in English, so we can basically, have English speakers be aware of Congo. Because you're right, because it's a French-speaking country, it's really not people don't really think about it because they're not really exposed to it like they would be in Nigeria and Ghana, for example, where it's much easier to communicate because those countries do speak English.
Okay, and that's really when the role of the diaspora is extremely important. So I want us to have a conversation about that. I mean, I'm here, I'm from the diaspora, you here, I'm sure you're also surrounded by people around the diaspora. What can the diaspora do to actually help, spread the narrative? Because here you are, Mighty Peace Coffee, you've been introduced to, we have a very good friend in common, and I didn't know about coffee. I didn't know that coffee was a big, one of the biggest resources in Congo. So what can be done? As I said, it's about solutions.
So I think a lot of things can be done, but the first step is basically being aware of what Congo has to offer, so you can talk about it. So, for example, you're Congolese, and you're Congolese in the diaspora in America, for example, and you drink coffee. Maybe be proactive about looking for Congolese coffee out there. So they know there is a lot of Congolese coffee out there if you look for it. So I think the first step is being intentional about how you spend your money. I think whether as Africans, as Black people, just being intentional about where our dollars go, so we can support the entrepreneurs from our communities that are trying to build businesses. So because again, economics, money solves a lot of challenges, and the more we're able to circulate money within our communities, the more challenges we'll be able to solve together. So I think the first step is basically being intentional about how you spend your money, whether it's coffee, tea, fashion. Just be proactive about who you buy from, and so that you can, as much as possible, make sure that the money circulates in the community so that the entrepreneurs from your community are able to succeed. Because it's tough across the board, but if the diaspora supports you, you'll have a higher chance of success.
So in terms of obviously supporting your brand, are you the only any competitors? Not that I want to talk about the competitors, but it's always interesting to see because you're an impact company. So is there any other competitors in the Congolese coffee industry that do what you do?
So there are other coffee companies, Congolese coffee companies. There are other importers that import Congolese coffee, but they import Congo is probably one of 30 countries they import coffee from. So they'll have Brazil, Colombia, and then they'll import maybe one container from Congo a year. Whereas all we do is Congolese coffee. So as far as I know, in America, we're the only importer that's focused solely on Congolese coffee. So I don't believe we have competition in that sense in terms of other importers that focus on Congolese coffee, but we do compete with general importers much bigger than us that also do work in Congo. But we think because of our team in Congo, there's no competition in terms of quality and impact. Like even if you have Congolese coffee, you're not having the impact we're having, and you definitely aren't driven to change the sector the same way we are. So in that sense, we don't compete with other importers in that way. And in terms of coffee roasters, I do know actually a few Congolese coffee roasters, but we actually work with them. We don't compete. They're great partners. The first one that comes to mind is Canfuela. They're based in Arizona, and they're a roaster. The founder is Congolese. So there are a few other Congolese coffee companies, but from a direct competition standpoint, not that I'm aware of. Yeah.
Okay. And uh, I wanted to ask you a question, and then you completely slipped my mind. But I mean, there's no but. Obviously, intention is everything in terms of how we spend our money. Can you also speak? I know you're very involved in the Congolese diaspora. I think it's you're an entrepreneur, but when you're African descent and you're an entrepreneur, you're also very much involved in the diaspora because we are this generation post-COVID where we are moving a lot of pieces and trying to change the narrative. Can you please tell the audience what you do? I know you have an event next week in Washington, D.C.
Absolutely. So I'm a co-founder of the Congolese Diaspora Impact Strategies. It's an organization whose mission is to connect the Congolese diaspora in America and globally with Congolese in Congo so we can find a way to actually solve the challenges we face. I think, again, when it comes to Congo, we always hear about potential and problems, but my co-founders and I, we're actually looking to find solutions. And our idea is to first build a network of like-minded Congolese and solve challenges together, whether it's in business, healthcare, social impact, education, provide solutions to some of the challenges our country and our communities face. And the idea is to support each other through business. And, one thing I'm very proud of that came out as a result of the Organization for the Congolese Diaspora, a lot of great things came out, but the first thing that comes to mind is actually the phone I'm doing this live on is actually a Congolese phone called Okapi. And the founder is actually connected through our organization, Congolese Diaspora Impact Strategies. And now they sell phones in America, in Congo, and Angola. Wow. It's an example of what we want to do. We want to connect Congolese people that want to do great things, really build trust, and really get rid of the former narratives about Congolese not being able to work together, but actually work together and solve problems. Instead of complaining about all the oppression, the challenges, the lack of fairness. Let's actually bring forth solutions and work together to execute them. And I think for real change, diasporas, whether it's Congo or Africa in general, will have to organize and really solve problems together.
Yeah, and I'm happy that you said that. So for those who join, who don't know me, I am not Congolese, but I'm a Pan-Africanist. I'm of African heritage, Nigeria and Benin, and I truly believe that we all need to work together in order for us to move forward. And Jim, we know each other a little bit, and for me, that's the reason why I'm using this platform, because as entrepreneurs, that's really how the change can happen. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask you earlier, 77% of the coffee produced in Congo is smuggled to neighboring countries. Is it true, and why?
It's definitely true. And because of smuggling, it's hard to get exact number, but plus 70% is actually a conservative estimate. And the reason why it's the case is because whether it's Uganda or Rwanda, they do have better infrastructure than Congo. So it actually costs more to export coffee out of Congo than out of Uganda or Rwanda. That's part of the challenge. And because Uganda and Rwanda are better known for their coffee globally, they're able to basically pay a premium right away and give cash faster than the Congolese, if it's Congolese coffee. And additionally, part of the issue with Congo is a lot of administrative costs. So doing business in Congo just costs a lot. There's a lot of taxation, a lot of other paperwork you have to pay a lot of money to get. As a result, if you're working in Congo and doing things the right way, because you want to do it.
Listen, this is a
corruption is everywhere. Corruption is everywhere. That is part of the problem. Absolutely, absolutely. And because of that, it makes things a lot more expensive. And again, there's corruption everywhere in the world. Whether it's Uganda, Rwanda, or America, right? But in the case of Congo, part of the reason why there's incentive to smuggle across Lake Kivu or across northern Kivu when it comes to Uganda is because they're able to get money much faster than if they do it illegally as Congolese coffee. And part of what we're trying to do as Mighty Peace Coffee is to kind of build that demand and brand so that that you don't feel like the only way to make money is to smuggle your coffee across the border, but to actually sell it as Congolese coffee. Like, just show the world there is value in branding Congolese coffee as Congolese coffee, not pretending it's from somewhere else. Yeah.
So people saying working together is critical. This is very informative. Where can we purchase the coffee? Make sure you follow me or follow Jim after the live. I will put notes. But Jim, if you can, remind people. I see people in Europe, in Los Angeles. Besides the coffee, the Mighty Peace Coffee is only sold in America, or it's sold also in other countries?
So we do have partners in Canada as well. We have partners in Canada as well, but that's U.S. and Canada really are our main focus right now. But we're definitely open to everywhere. We've talked to folks in Asia, elsewhere in Europe, and the Middle East. So we do expect more international expansion very soon. And I saw Aisha ask the question there. Hey Aisha, Aisha's great. You can visit mightypeacecoffee.com. And actually in Philly, I know Miss Aisha Winfield is in Philly. In Philly, we work with Green Street Coffee and Old City Coffee. So if you go there and ask for the Congolese coffee, it'll be Mighty Peace. So shout out to all my Philly people. I hope you go there.
Are you on the West Coast? Are you in Los Angeles? Are you in California?
Yeah, we do work with folks in California. So I mentioned Swelter Coffee out in Berkeley, out in the Bay Area. And we also work with Café de Mitas in Los Angeles. So, no matter where you are in America, odds are there are people carrying our coffee. So just, reach out and I'll be more than happy to point you in a direction. And thank you in advance for being intentional about where you get your coffee from.
Yeah. And being intentional how you spend your money. Period.
Exactly.
This is the world that we live in, because I think that in order for us to grow and to gather strength, we need to make sure that we are intentional of how we spend our money. Is there anything else that you want to share? I feel that there's so many other questions. Again, for those who just joined, thank you for joining Breaking New Ground. My name is Yasmina F. Edwards. You can follow me. This is a show where I have conversation with immigrant entrepreneurs who made the choice to move to another country and launch a business. And you were born in Dakar, Jim. Your parents are Congolese. You came here in high school. You went to college. You decided that you wanted to give back to your country by launching or by being part of a business where the founders or the co-founders are aligned in their value. And the beauty of what you're doing is you work directly with the communities who are based in Congo. Congo is a big country. So can you kind of, I know Kinshasa, the farmers, where are they mostly in Congo?
So most of our coffee comes from North and South Kivu. So North and South Kivu provinces, We eventually want to work in Ituri as well and elsewhere because there's basically coffee almost everywhere in Congo. But right now, all of our coffee comes from North and South Kivu. In terms of our team and quality, that's where we're able to get the best coffee consistently. But we know there's more coffee throughout the country, and eventually we want to be able to get it from everywhere in Congo. But right now, it's all North and South Kivu, and we have partners at Mighty Peace Coffee in Bukavu and in Goma. Yeah,
In Goma as well. Okay.
correct.
All right. So,
Our head of
so
logistics is in Goma.
is there anything else that you want to share before we go into my 3 questions that I ask my all my guests? Anything else that I didn't talk about that you would like to share?
I think we covered the main points, but one thing I will add is, in terms of Mighty Peace Coffee, beyond paying farmers, a fairer and better wages, we also believe you also want to give back to the community in other ways. It's one of our key projects for next year, either Q1 or Q2, depending on how things work out, is also to launch a project called the Off-Grid Box that basically provides clean energy and clean water to farming communities. Because again, Congo's population of, depending on where you look at, between 80 and 100 million. And, the average Congolese doesn't have access to clean water or clean energy. And especially in the rural areas where, the coffee comes from. So we want to make sure that the communities we work with have access to that infrastructure. And it's a key project we're working on for next year. And as we continue to grow and scale, I appreciate all the support. And, if you're interested, definitely next time you go to your local coffee shop, ask them if they have coffee from Congo.
Okay. And how do we know that it's your coffee? Because then your brand Mighty Peace Coffee will be part of it.
Yeah, more often than not, they will actually specifically say that they will say it's from Mighty Peace Coffee, it's from us. And frankly, even if it's not directly from us, as long as it's from Congo, I think it's a step in the right direction. But if you buy from us, you'll know for sure that there was, the farmers were paid well. Yeah.
But question though, the one of the things that we discussed at the beginning of the live, Brazil, Vietnam have the infrastructure, so that's the reason why they're able successfully to produce coffee at scale. Is there a are you trying to do that also with Mighty Peace Coffee? Invest and help those farmers to have better infrastructure, and how do you go about it?
Absolutely. We definitely are investing in infrastructure, whether it's coffee washing stations or, again, some of the mechanization wherever it makes sense. And the thing is, the coffee industry is, it's very challenging. It's a slim margin business in general. So right now, we're trying to figure out the right model so that we can still grow while at the same time investing in infrastructure. So we figure out that model, working with other agencies, looking at grants as well, so that basically our income plus the grants can be enough to basically reinvest in infrastructure. Because Congo is a big country, there's a lot of needs. And at our stage, as a 4-year young company, we definitely can't solve every problem, right? But we are looking for partners in the country and other people that want to support Congolese coffee to help improve the infrastructure so it can be more efficient, so that farmers continue to earn a good living. We can also produce more quality coffee. So it's definitely, we're in this for the long term, yeah.
I'm interested in knowing how the Congolese in Congo are approaching your project. Are they being supportive? Are you able to influence them? Because right now, the Grail is with the Colbat. This is where Apple is going. For those who are joining the call, the phone that we're using, Colbat is really one of the mineral that is used from Congo. So are they interested in coffee at this stage?
Are you talking about like the Congolese
in Congo?
Absolutely. I think, there's definitely interest in coffee, but the key is to make it sustainable. So there was, coffee production in Congo went down significantly since the 80s. Because they started focusing more on minerals and there was no real support for farming. So we're really trying to reverse that trend and make sure that farmers understand they can actually make a living through coffee. So it's definitely something we're focusing on at the moment. And you mentioned Apple and the minerals like coltan. And actually, part of the criticism that was levied at the big tech and in JD's documentary, When Elephants Fight, was to basically show them that you can run a business and get resources from Congo without exploitation, right? And we believe business can really be a solution to many problems. And that's kind of what spurred Mighty Peace Coffee. Like, we can build a business that addresses the problem. Because I think when it comes to nonprofits, some nonprofits do great work. We think it's hard to scale because you're basically relying on the generosity of people. But I think with the business, as long as your business works well, you have a product people want, your impact, there's no limit to the impact. So that's really part of our mission, to believe like business and Mighty Peace Coffee can really be part of the solution to some of the problems in the coffee sector and in Congo at the moment. So we really business as a solution.
Okay, that's great that you are saying that. So I have a question for you. Three questions. First, what is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote?
Yeah. Ta citation préférée.
Oh, my favorite quote.
Préférée.
That's a great question. I don't know.
Aha!
Uh, huh. Give me some time to think. Do you want to ask me a
Okay, so
second question
then
in the meantime?
the second question would be, what would you say to your younger self today? Basically, what you know today that you didn't know when you were. I always go back to your teenage years, but what would you say to your younger self today, based on what you know today?
Keep going. Honestly, not to be cliche, but keep going. My younger self is also very ambitious and very driven. Have big dreams with ideas. Just to tell them, keep going, keep pushing. Yeah, so that's definitely the main message for my younger self. Keep going, keep pushing. And one quote, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's something I do think about often. It's basically, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And I think it's just another way to look at yourself. You can criticize politicians, and you have a lot of reasons to criticize them, other leaders, but you could also do the best you can and, make change that way. So that's something that drives me. I try not to complain too much. I do get frustrated when I see what's happening. I'm like, what can I do today to help to make a difference? So that's something that definitely drives me. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's one of my favorites.
Well, I should say that we live in America and we are immigrants. Nothing is handed to us. We have to build everything. If it doesn't work, you just start over again. So that's also part of the mindset, and I call that the immigrant mindset. I'm seeing a comment today because I'm not sure. I mentioned the event next weekend, but I'm not sure if it's open to the public. But maybe you want to talk about the organization. Someone is asking.
Absolutely. We're going to have a Friendsgiving dinner in DC next weekend. It's going to be at Swahili Village. Again, an example of trying to make sure the money circulates in the African diaspora community. And it's going to be next Friday, November 11th in DC at Swahili Village. The dinner's open to the public. And if you go to CDIS on Instagram or on our website, Congolese Diaspora Impact Summit.com, you can get tickets on our Eventbrite. But yes, it's open to the public. It's a dinner next Friday, the 11th.
Okay. And what is your favorite restaurant? So ideally, I would like to say either Wisconsin or New York. And I'm not sure how much. When was the last time you went to Kinshasa? If there's a restaurant that you want to give a shout out to from Kinshasa, but whatever, tell us your favorite restaurant or coffee shop.
Favorite restaurant. So I like all the coffee shops that work with us. But there's definitely a few cool ones in my neighborhoods. But in terms of restaurants, I do really like African foods. And, in New York City, I want to say one of my favorite ones is Les Ambassades. I do love some good chicken. It's in Harlem, exactly. Acheke Loco, and it's from Ivory Coast, like you. I'm a Pan-African too, so I do love Ivorian food. Yeah, so Les Ambassades in Harlem has a great, African food from, I think, mostly West Africa, but yeah, I go for their Acheke Loco, which is from Côte d'Ivoire. Yeah.
Yes. Anything in Kinshasa, or it's nothing that you haven't been there for a minute, so you probably don't know.
I was last there a few years ago in 2017. Oh, it was 5 years. That's a long time. I can't think of the restaurant name, to be honest, but I do remember I had some really great shikwang with my aunt. I don't know if you know what shikwang is, but it's basically it's made of cassava, and it's probably my favorite Congolese dish. But I had some great shikwang at a restaurant in Kinshasa. I forget the name. When I remember it, I'll give him a shout out.
Okay. It's all right. So I just love to share food, quotes, and what you will say to your younger self, because we are shaped by the food that we eat, because it's completely tied into our heritage, whether we live in America, in Europe. And I think quote says a lot about who you are. So I'm so happy that we were able to have a conversation about Congo in a very positive way. I think Congo has a lot of beautiful things to offer. The continent of Africa in general. And I want to thank everyone for joining us. The replay is going to be available. Make sure to share it. I think that we need to share gems around ourselves. And one last word, Jim?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. And if you drink coffee, look out for some Congolese coffee. I would thank you guys,
Mighty
man. I
coffee.
appreciate the
Oh,
platform.
JD just joined. Hey,
Yeah.
JD. So I want to thank everyone for joining. It's been a great hour, breaking new ground. Follow me, Yasmina F. Edwards. My next live is next week, and if all goes well, I'm going to Lagos.
Oh, safe travels. Safe travels.
Say I'm going to Lagos. The live will be in Lagos and New York.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying you were going to move to Lagos yourself. Either way, congratulations.
So another immigrant story. But for now, thank you so much, and stay tuned. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.